welcome back. You couldn't stay away, could you? Such is the curse of humanity. Welcome back to Aetheral.
So I've noticed for a while now, there are still a number of you who watch this series, but you're not answering our questions.
Exactly.
Oxgun, you have one chance left.
Hello, Jacob. For your entire life, you have watched Aetheral Space, but not commented on the videos. Will you now be able to
Lurkers,
comment
we
to save
call
your
you.
life? I'd like to play a game.
I just so you know, if you don't answer the question, if you watch this video and you don't answer the question at the end this time, Dragon will appear.
You will get put in a jigsaw trap.
Yeah.
Hello.
Have you seen you know that jigsaw account I was talking about, like a Mori or some shit the other day? They posted something. It was like a kid at a table with a marshmallow and says, "You can have the marshmallow now, or if you wait for 30 minutes, you can have 2 later.
Hello, Boris.
Choose wisely." Okay, fuck. So yeah, recap. Shit, sorry, my brain is absolutely fried. Can you do the recap this week?
Of course. Well, previously we got a little bit of a conversation between Zhao and Shale. As they were arguing about what should happen now that Sate's gone fucking AWOL. Bruno busted out of his fucking hospital room and there were some drones there. And Dragan and the security force and everyone arrived at the hospital.
Oh yeah, they're in like a APC or something, right?
Yeah.
Like some kind of like armored vehicle. They're doing that thing like in every military game where it's like all the guys suited up and they're leaning against the wall and they're like, "All right, be ready on my command." It was
Let's
like
compare a kill count for this is all over, A-Pass.
Yeah, you know the scene I'm talking about. It's in every fucking shooter game where like everyone's like in the helicopter or the bus or the van or whatever, and they've got their guns out and they're like leaning against the wall and someone's giving orders. That guy was Deer.
Yeah, then like everything explodes and a vaguely foreign man gives a menacing speech.
Yeah.
America.
We'll deliver.
You idiot. Idiota.
These capitalists will pay. They'll
like,
pay
you're-
for their oil with blood. Alright, you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
It's kind of depressing for a hospital, commented Marie. I keep forgetting what Marie's voice is. I just make it like vaguely, ever so slightly seductive female voice. I don't remember her voice. I hope I'm doing it right. Commented Marie, leaning against the open section of the transport, even as it flew through the air, making its way through the incomplete security perimeter. Even as the wind assaulted her hair, she seemed entirely unconcerned about the fact that one wrong step would send her falling into the abyss below. Simeon looked up from his position at the back of the transport. He'd taken up 2 seats and made them into a makeshift sofa to lounge in. "All the lights are off," he snapped, checking for dirt under his nail. "Of course it's depressing." The transport turned as it flew up towards the roof, Rayanch maneuvering the ship as if it were an extension of his own body. Rayanch is the honor one, right?
Yeah, he's tall,
and Simeon's like
bombers.
Simeon's like the gamer archer.
I don't know if he's a gamer, but I don't want to make
Well,
assumptions.
he has bright pink hair and he makes like arrows out of it,
he's a gamer,
and you know
yeah.
that like neon aesthetic gamers have,
course,
like the
of
bright
course.
flashy colors. He's got the RGB keyboard.
Like how it's like when he's accused me of, well, I don't want to make any assumptions about whether or not he's a gamer.
Whoa! He may be a terrorist, but he's not a gamer. Chill, Darnell. All right, that's my character
hate
you're
gamers.
talking about. I hate gamers. That's the villain of this arc. Delete them all. I'm sorry, I'm going off on a full tangent, but just like Muzazi pinning down Dragon with a smug smile looks like it's game over, gamer. Alright, I'm fucking sorry. "True darkness is the night of the soul," he intoned in a voice presumably meant to sound wise. "An honest warrior does not let his eyes deceive him."
He's a little less
Rory
Joker,
reached
I
out
think,
and patted him
last
on the
time.
back of the head. Yeah, sorry, I was trying to make him, because I thought I made him like really like presumptuous sounding. Did I do the voice wrong? It's been a while since I had
crossed
to do
over
these
into
guys.
Joker a little bit. It's just what I meant.
Oh, sorry. "Hell yeah," she said. "I love it." Noelle, sitting in the co-pilot's seat, crossed her arms as she kept her eyes fixed on the monolith that was the Anisate Memorial Hospital. This woman, Marie, was making herself entirely too familiar with Noel's crew. She was tolerating Marie's presence only because of her obvious strength. She could be useful to Noel's plans after all, but her personality left a lot to be desired. She snuck a glance back at the woman, only to snap her head back to look straight ahead when she saw Marie's blood-red eyes looking back at her. "Are the defenses clear?" Marie asked, her voice sickly sweet. "Mm-hmm," Noel grumbled. Her aether, her digital complex, was running through her body like an electric current, and radiating out, seizing control of any compatible device that came into range. The hacking skills Noelle had taken years to learn had now become all but automated, a brute force attack that she could unleash with a thought. See, this is what I like, because like a lot of superpower media has like a hacking power, and it just vaguely infects machinery, but like hers is like, no, it's actual hacking, like programming and notation is just programmed into the Aether like a script that does it for her. Which is how most hackers do hacking. They have fucking scripts that run the thing for them. So it actually makes sense, and I like it, and I just want to say that I think it's cool you did it that way, alright?
Thanks. I accept your compliment.
It's not like I think you're a good writer or anything, Baka.
Oh my god. So good. It's a good thing no one watches these videos.
Soon, Darnell. Her grip tightened on the arm of her chair. She couldn't fail this time. She couldn't. "We're coming down now," said Rayange as the transport began to descend. "Prepare yourselves." Noelle squinted, feeling the drones she'd already dispatched. Even with such distance between them, she could sense them individually, like fingers stretched out to impossible distances. Some of them had already engaged someone. The automatic orders she'd given them directed them to attack any combat-ready person outside of a hospital room. They weren't doing well. 2 had already been destroyed. "There's already someone inside," she said as a third drone met its end. "Someone strong. They have Aether. Rayange, you'll take care of them." Rayange nodded as the transport landed on the roof with a soft thump. Did Rayange have Aether, or is he just knives and bombs?
He has Aether.
No, he had Aether bombs. That was his Aether. Yeah. "Simeon," Noelle turned around in her seat to look at the pink-haired boy, "you secure Lucius Sate's office. Make sure nobody can get in there before we arrive. If that isn't possible, snatch him and head to the rendezvous point." Simeon twirled a lock of hair between 2 fingers. "Sounds like a plan," he drawled, already bored. Sounds like a plan, he drawled, already sounding bored. "And you," Noelle's eyes flicked to Marie, "you're with me. We're heading to the main security room. I'll seize full control of the building from there. Can't let you out of my sight after all." Marie winked, gave her a disgustingly cheery thumbs up. "Roger Dodger." Noelle rolled her eyes as she hopped out of the transport, landing on the cold roof. The entrance to the stairwell was off in the corner, behind a sealed metal door. No problem. She pointed a finger towards the door, and even from that distance, a tendril of cyan Aether shot out and crawled into the door's control panel. A few seconds later, the doors opened. Hang on. "Most impressive," said Rayange, hopping off to join her. "Don't you have somewhere to be?" Noelle said harshly. Still, it was nice to be appreciated. She only barely suppressed a smug smirk at the compliment. As Rayange rushed down the stairs to meet the unknown attacker, and Simeon sauntered off to fulfill his task, Marie strolled up to the side of Noelle. "It's a cold night," she said, putting a hand to her hair as the wind sent it flying. "We should get inside, unless you want to get blown off the side." Noelle shot her a glare. Even now, in this kind of situation, she was acting unsettlingly casual. "I don't trust you, you know," Noelle said, voice low. Marie giggled. "Well, of course you don't. You're not stupid. That's what I like about you, sweetie." "Don't call me that." "Never again." Marie lied. I don't know why it's so funny when you put character lied right after they tell a lie. It's just really funny to me. "Anyway, you don't need to trust that I'm telling the truth, because I hardly ever am. You just need to trust my abilities. I don't think I've given you reason to doubt that, have I?" Noelle scoffed as she began walking down the stairwell, Marie following after her. "Your abilities? What, is this the whole supremacy thing? Might makes right?" Marie tilted her head back and laughed, a genuine kind of laughter, as if Noelle had just told a really funny joke. "The supremacy way?" she said, almost mockingly. "What? The thing where the biggest idiot climbs to the top of the pile because he can punch the hardest? It's funny, don't get me wrong, but it's doomed, I think." This wasn't the kind of rhetoric Noelle had expected from a special officer. She gave the woman a strange look as they walked. "Your buddy, Muzizi or whatever. He seemed a little more earnest than you." Muzizi!
It would win Dragon versus Muzizi.
I want them to fight. That's the alternate universe. When Dragon's not on screen, he's fighting Muzizi. I'm sorry, I have to stop for Muzizi. That was too good. The smile that crossed Marie's face wasn't reassuring in the least. Wide and toothy, like a cat looking at a mouse. Oh, believe you me, sweetie, everyone's more earnest than me. Let me fight! Serena shouted from inside Bruno's mind. Ugh, sorry, there's a lot of phlegm in my throat. Annoyance quickly turning into anger. That's not fair! No, Bruno growled, ducking underneath another plasma shot as he closed the distance between himself and the fourth drone. He deployed 2 force fields with thrusts of his palm, one directly above the drone so it couldn't fly upwards, and the other right behind it to close off the other escape route. As he reached the drone, he jumped over a second shot and transitioned into a kick, his feet pressing the machine against the 2 force fields with the force of a vice. It split like a mechanical orange, electronic innards squeezed out from any seam in the metalwork. Why not? Pouted Serena as Bruno landed again. You remember what happened at the casino? He muttered, planting another force field behind himself to defend from any unseen enemies. We can't risk you going crazy like that. Not when we don't know what's going on. We do know what's going on! We're in danger! Let me fight! He sighed, rubbing a hand over the side of his head as a splitting migraine began to take hold. Serena really wasn't going to let this go. Serena, he said quietly through clenched teeth. Listen, Bruno, move! Serena's warning, she processed the threat a second before Bruno, gave Bruno warning enough to roll to the side, narrowly avoiding the combat knife aimed between his ribs. Yeah, I was gonna say maybe time or gave, yeah. The wielder of the knife was one of the guys from the Nine battle, the tall one with the mask, the bomberman. He was standing where Bruno had been a moment ago, knife still plunged into the empty air. He tried to do a plunging attack, holy shit! Bruno scrambled to his feet, dispelling the force fields he left strewn about the place. He couldn't afford to scatter his aether against an opponent like this. Mused the gray-haired man in a deep, smooth voice. That was a splendid dodge, but the recovery was rather amateur. You must endeavor to improve that aspect of yourself, should you find the opportunity. This guy would be so at home in the supremacy, it's not even funny. You should just switch sides.
Born in the wrong era.
He sure loved to talk. Born in the wrong fucking country. Or whatever the fuck you would call a galactic whatever. Federation? I don't know. Bruno adopted a combat stance, remembering the CQC had been taught at the set. Sorry, I'm just thinking of the Snake line. Do you remember? What's the line Snake says in Metal Gear?
Remember the basics of CQC.
Yeah! An ambiguous position, ready to snap into attack or defense at a moment's notice, depending on what was needed. I don't know who you are, he said, maintaining distance between the two of them, but I don't want any trouble. You don't? The bomberman seemed genuinely hurt. I'm certain you were there when I introduced myself. Take more care to honor your opponents in the future. I am Rayansh Patel. Do not forget it again. I don't suppose you're just going to let me go. Rayansh shook his head. Nay, he said seriously. I have been ordered to eliminate you. And I have no intention of going against that. Ready yourself, warrior. With all this talk about honor and warriors, this Patel guy would probably fit in pretty well with the supremacy. I was just thinking that, bro. We're on the same page, Bruno. Maybe he couldn't afford the trip? Well, growled Bruno, suddenly creating a force field directly in front of himself. After you, then. Rayansh lunged forward, and, just before he ran into the force field, he instead jumped over it, his knife spinning between his fingers before he thrust it down towards Bruno. Bruno moved his head to the side, feeling the knife brush against his hair as he did so, and grabbed onto Rayansh's arm as he fell. With a roar of exertion, he flipped his opponent and slammed him onto the ground, the knife clattering to the floor. Bruno kicked it away. Keeping Rayansh in a lock, Bruno did his best to make sure his opponent couldn't move in the slightest. Along with pinning him with all his strength, Bruno created another force field directly above his quarry. If Rayansh tried to get up, he'd smash his face right into it. Excuse me. Rayansh grunted, face flat against the cold ground as Bruno drove his knee further into the man's spine. Sorry, Bruno panted, purple aether running along his hands to allow grippage. I don't die so easily. The cough that escaped Rayansh's lips quickly transitioned into a chuckle. Indeed, he muttered. You seemed a mere defender when I saw you last, but I see now that was not your full potential. Impressive. Most impressive. Ah! Rayansh's monologue was interrupted as Bruno wrenched his arm, dislocating his limb. Jesus Christ. He wouldn't allow this bastard to try any mind games or anything like that. He wasn't that stupid. How many more of you are there? Bruno said, voice cold. Their powers and their locations, or I break the arm this time. Rayansh glared up at him, struggling to break free of his grip in the force field of both. I won't say a word, he hissed. You sure? Bruno began to twist Rayansh's other arm in his grip. You probably have a few seconds to change your... Rayonch opened his clenched fist, and Bruno's eyes widened in horror. Right there, in the middle of the hand, not so far away from Bruno's face, was a tiny, rattling pebble. Oh my god, he's Killer Queen, I forgot. A pebble shining with chaotic red aether. Bruno let go of Rayonch, leapt back, and not a second later, the bomb went off. Raging red aether and smoke, like a thunderstorm in miniature, raged through the hallway, tearing the walls and floor apart and flooding the air with disturbed dust. Putting a hand to his arm, Bruno winced. He hadn't been quite fast enough to avoid damage. His force fields had smothered the explosion a little, but the sight of him closer to the explosion had taken the brunt of the shockwave. Oh, has he got like the half-white, half-black hair now, like fucking Tokyo Ghoul or whatever? She can't take it. Wasn't so bad that he couldn't... Oh, now it... Yeah, now it reflects the two sides of him, Serena and Bruno. It wasn't so bad that he couldn't move, but he'd be in trouble if any more enemies showed up. Still, Bruno looked at the cloud of smoke. He hadn't been expecting a suicide attack. Usually, people like Rayonch Patel tried to fight to the bitter end. Maybe he wasn't as supremacy as Bruno had assumed. He had no time to ponder the question. Getting out of here was... Wait, did Rayonch actually die, or is he just, like, gone and Bruno's assuming he's dead?
Well, there was a big explosion, and Bruno dodged, and now he can't see anything.
Okay.
It was like point blank.
He had no time to ponder the question. Getting out of here was clearly the best option. He'd find a way out of the hospital, contact Skipper and the crew somehow, and find out just what the hell was going on. Bruno winced in lingering pain, turned to head down the hallway, and began limping away. "Please don't assume we're finished here," said Rayonch Patel from behind him. Bruno's breath caught in his throat. This is the part where, like, the JoJo sound effect, like, "Don't! Impossible!" That had been point blank. Hell, worse than point blank. The force field surrounding Patel would have redirected most of the force of the explosion to hit him instead. Even if he was alive, he shouldn't be conscious, let alone talking like nothing had happened. Forcing his body into painful motion, Bruno whirled around to face the clouds of encroaching dust. The grey smoke parted as if to allow Rayonch...
Passage.
Passage. That totally ruined the build-up I was making. The gray-haired man strolling out of ground zero of the explosion, without so much as a scratch on him. Not even his clothes were damaged. Oh my god, he's fucking Vanilla Ice and he's Killer Queen. The knife he dropped earlier was dancing between his fingers, and his golden eyes were glimmering with excitement. "Splendid," he murmured, pointing the weapon towards Bruno. "Truly splendid. You dodged my attack expertly, sir. And the ability you used to smother my explosion. I didn't expect it to be so durable. I've taken an interest in you." Bruno, not his lip. Bruno bit his lip, I assume. Lowered his body back into a ready position. Looked like the fight wasn't over. Ranch's eyes narrowed with an unseen smile as he saw Bruno prepare for further combat. "Splendid," he breathed again. "I shall attack again now. Please be prepared." Oh, that's such a fucking anime antagonist line. I love it. "I will attack now. Prepare yourself." He lunged forward. Bruno closed his eyes. Serena. Unlike Bruno, Serena didn't dodge. She didn't even know the meaning of the word dodge. Well, actually, she did. It was a pretty common word, after all, and she'd heard it used a bunch of different times in loads of different contexts. Ruth did a lot of dodging. It would be nearly impossible not to know what dodge meant, unless you were actively trying. But to do that, you'd need to know what dodge meant so that you couldn't learn it, which defeated the point. Anyway, Serena didn't dodge the attack. Instead, she rushed to meet it. Twin swords of dust, shining with violet aether, gathered together in her hands, and with two swift strikes, she deflected Rayonch's stabs. Only one of the swords survived the attacks. Even infused with her aether, they were still only made of dust, but a replacement collected in her hand a moment later. Rayonch took a step back down the hallway, his attacking stance shifting into a more cautious one. He looked her up and down. "You are truly full of surprises," he murmured. "Abilities that facilitate defense and attack both. You truly are a formidable adversary. Perhaps, if your heart is true, you could join in our righteous crusade." He was interrupted by a flurry of attacks from Serena, her arms twin blurs as she brought the swords down from every possible angle. Each time his knife struck out at one of her swords, the weapon was destroyed, but the explosion Rayonch had set off meant there was no shortage of dust to take advantage of. Bruno had been forced to defend against this jerk, but Serena was steadily forcing him down the hallway, her face fixed in concentration. Once his back met the wall at the end of the hallway, she'd be able to deliver the killing blow. As he was forced to retreat, Rayonch gritted his teeth in frustration, and a second later he was holding another rattling pebble in his hand, another bomb. Switch! Bruno's voice rang out in her mind. For a moment, she thought about ignoring him. She'd waited so long to stretch her legs, after all, but the urgency he sent out convinced her otherwise. Like diving into a deep pool, she descended into the backseat of the body, and at the same time, Bruno climbed out. This kind of reminds me of, like, have you ever seen, like, dolphins?
No.
Probably, yeah. There's, like, a tip in GMing about, like, GMing like a dolphin. Not that this has anything to do with GMing.
Oh,
the idea of, like, switching...
Why did I say no? Have you seen dolphins?
Between like fast and slow, where like dolphins are in the air and underwater, especially with the pool visual, it kind of makes me think like Serena's when the dolphins in the air and Bruno's when the dolphins in the water, and it goes like back and forth. Boom,
I just
boom,
want to
boom.
point out
So
that
graceful.
when you
so
asked if
effortless.
I knew what a dolphin was, I said no for some reason.
I thought you were just being stubborn. I assume you know what a fucking dolphin is. Hang on, I'm so sorry. My nose is super stuffed, and that's why I keep struggling to breathe through these sentences.
It's because it's so exciting.
Oh, God. No, it's because I'm sick.
No, it's so exciting.
As always. Bruno thrust his palm out, creating a force field around the pebble, and when it detonated a moment later, the force was reduced a great deal. Still, Bruno was sent flying down the hallway, and Rayanch was pursuing on the attack again, dagger striking out many times a second as he ran. If this pattern continues, I'm pretty sure that Bruno and Serena are going to lose, because they're just steadily accumulating damage while Rayanch is unscathed. Force fields went up as fast as possible, each one shattering with a shower of sparks as Rayanch's knife stabbed into it. Still, it at least meant that the knife wasn't stabbing into Bruno. Even with the whole honorable warrior thing this guy has going on. Or should it be had or has? I can't really tell, because... Bruno knew there was no way he wasn't frustrated at his inability to land a hit. Indeed, a growl escaped Rayanch's throat with each lunge of the knife, irritation building every time it bounced off a force field or just outright missed. So they're basically counting on putting this guy on tilt. Rayanch moved his other hand slightly, the one not holding the knife, and Bruno saw another tiny pebble in the palm, already rattling. He wasn't going to make this easy for him. Sucking in a deep breath, Bruno went to dodge backwards, but this time, Rayanch didn't move as he had expected. Hopefully Rayanch runs out of Aether soon. Rather than unleashing another point-blank detonation, Rayanch flicked the pebble in front of him, shooting past Bruno, right in the direction he was dodging. He didn't have time to change his position. He'd just have to reduce the damage as much as possible. Force fields appeared behind him, as many as possible, layered over each other to such a degree that they were fully visible, like discs of glowing purple aether. When the explosion went off, the outer layers shattered like glass, but the ones behind them stayed firm. Ah, I see, the old cars in the volcano trick, huh? Mm-hmm. Do you think Bruno could do that to fucking survive a volcano?
No.
I trapped air bubbles between my two force fields. But there was still the force of the shockwave. Bruno gasped as he was sent flying forwards by the explosion, right towards Rayanch, who was waiting with knife in hand. A chuckle crept out from behind the man's mask. "You fought well, my friend," he intoned, and stabbed forward with the knife. That's the end of the chapter, baby.
Wowee. Will Bruno die? Who knows?
Probably not. It's only Arc 3.
No, this is it for Bruno. This is
Although,
the end for you.
It would be really interesting if you did some weird shit where, like, Bruno died but Serena was still alive. Or, like, the other way around. That'd be interesting.
Cool. Yeah, so the fighting have started. This is no longer a peaceful hospital. It's people with violence in the halls. It's messed up.
Interesting. Seems like Bruno and Serena, I mean, maybe they could do it before, and we've just yet to see it because of, like, varying circumstances where they got injured, but it's really cool to see them, like, try out this new technique, or at least us see it for the first time, where they, like, switch in and out, back and forth, because they really are kind of at their strongest there, and it's really interesting.
Yeah. I agree.
Especially because it, like, implies that they need to have a synergy with each other, since it's clear that if one wants the body and the other doesn't want them to, it's like a struggle of who gets to control it. So to see them, like, cooperate and, like, smoothly transition is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I could just imagine it, and, like, a fucking anime is like, you see Bruno with the force fields, and then there's, like, he, like, spins around, and there's a transition, the eyes have changed color to, like, violet instead of purple, and then it's the sword, and it's, like, back and forth like that. Fucking, who's the people? UFO Table does that shit. That'd be so cool.
That'd be good.
That'd be so good. Alright, what's the question this week?
I'm not sure. Well, I've been thinking about getting some Aetheral Ace Art commissions. So what would people like to see, maybe? It could be a good question.
I know. I want to see... Well, Honestly, if you're paying money for them, so don't do this one. But it would be really funny to see like a rendition of Dragon and Muzizi. But beyond that, the main
like the
things I want to
shitty
see are if you've got the money for like however fancy it would be. I would love to see the whole Muzazi throwing a car scene. I would love to see like a scene of like Dragon shooting Muzazi in the back, maybe like Muzazi in the foreground, like smoke rising behind him with widened eyes, and like Dragon in the background with like the gun pointed at him. I would love to see Skipper doing like the heartbeat landmine or whatever he did, where there was a big explosion. I would like to see. Sorry, I'm just giving all my recommendations. Obviously, don't do all of these, or any of them if you don't want to. I would love to see, like, Muzazi and Marie back-to-back. I would love to see, like, one of, like, the whole crew. It's, like, Ruth doing a Slav squat, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I'm talking about? And then, like, Bruno and Serena, like, they got, like, the cloak over them. And then there's like Skipper with his like finger pointed to the sky in like a gun shape, like the thingy they do in the JoJo Part 4 opening, and then like Dragon with like his hand to his face, like leaning like with one knee up and the other knee on the ground, and like making a smug like I'm better than you face. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
That's my fucking. Those are my requests. If any of those get made, that'd be epic. Yes. What would you like to see? And you better answer this week, or we will send Dragon after you.
Jigsaw.
Hello, I'd like to play a game. Before you use a stun pistol, turn your back to it.
Ooh, Saw a video game where you play as Jigsaw and have to design puzzles that'll break your contestants.
But you meant to show them
And,
to make them appreciate life. You have to appreciate their lives. Because killing is distasteful. That's what he says. That's his famous line.
I don't know, I haven't seen Saw. We should watch it together.
I've not seen it either.
Let's watch Saw. We still have to watch Joker. We still have to watch more Godzilla. You got a lot to get done, Tanhoney, and you're never free. You better make some time.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to hurt anybody.
Oh, it's so... Alright, I don't know where I was going with that. Okay. Thank you guys for listening along, or reading if you're on Royal Road, in which you won't hear my gratitude. Fuck you. Tanhoney will leave a comment on the chapter that says thank you for reading for chapter 26.
You're free to believe that will happen.
He has to do that now. Shanae.
What?
If he doesn't do that, leave a bad review on Royal Road. Leave a thumbs down on Royal Road with a 2 out of 5 for all the stars. If he doesn't put that comment.
Please don't do that.
Yes, do that.
Bye.
Don't actually do that, but
The episode's now
at the
over.
same time winking. Bye! Bye!
Bye bye boy.